Welcome in everyone to a Monday night edition of the Joe Quills Show. Joe Quills here with you, and 3 day weekend is just about over for me. Back to work in the morning, but before we do, we have one show here that we're going to do before we uh, hit the uh, hit the hay and go home, go to bed. But I'll be up for a few hours because I got my Tuesday article ready to go for tomorrow for my Quills Picks winners, and hope you saw that article. I do apologize that the race went off 2 hours earlier than I expected earlier today. I would normally give myself a bumpy bump for that, but I'm not going to because one, I don't have the soundboard, and two, um, it was just a matter of one. One site was saying one portion of the site was saying one thing, another was saying another. But with all the heat that's coming this way, Presque Isle in Erie, Pennsylvania, decided to start at 1 o'clock instead of 3 o'clock. But either way, I got the article up quickly enough to my social media, and hope you had that winner. Just a shame that it went from 10-1 down to 5-2. Um, I was kind of doing different things around the apartment today, so I didn't get to see the crash in um, the crash in the odds, but I did get that winner for you guys. So I hope you played it. And it was an impressive win by Ponce de Leon in the Tom Bridge Stakes. Huh? What? What? Well, Tom Bridge had a hearing aid. So, anyways, coming up on the show tonight, you can see there on the screen here. I've got a question about the Celtics and the Panthers. Did they lose game four to win at home? Um, you know, stuff about that. Give you an update on Major League Baseball. A lot going on over the last couple of days, and whatever comes up here. So, and Les Miles is suing LSU, and I think it's more because of um, personal glory than anything else. But we'll get to that as well. So, I hope everybody had a great weekend. Me, nice quiet weekend here. Got some things done. Still got a million more things I got to do. Always seems like I do one thing, I got 18 others that pop up here. So, anyways, hope everybody's doing well out there. Um, Phillies are up 9-2 in the ninth inning here. Looks like Phillies are back on track after losing 2 or 3 to Baltimore. Celtics are up 28-18 after one. Celtics looking to sweep tonight. And, or I shouldn't say sweep, close out the series, I should say, because they had a chance to sweep and they got blown out by 38 points in a game where they probably just said, the heck with it. So, but we'll get to that here now. So, um, I know this is the case for Major League Baseball, but I'm not sure about hockey or basketball. I know that for the first four games of a series in baseball, Major League Baseball gets the revenues for the first four games of a 7 game series, and then the teams get the revenues for games five, six, and seven as needed. My question now, I don't know how the revenues are set up for for the NBA and the NHL. I don't know if they have a same system where the first four games the revenues go to the league and then they end up going back and forth. But either way, um, and by the way, it's a final. The Phillies win 9-2. Phillies beat the Padres on the day after Padre Day, but another good win for the Phillies here, and looking like they're back on track here. And Braves are losing 1-0, so the Phillies could get a game back that they lost when they were in Baltimore. So hopefully that's the case. So, anyways, as I was saying, I don't know how that works. So if you know, let me know. If not, that's fine. I mean, you don't have to go looking it up, Googling it, or anything like that. It's not that big of a deal. But my question is, do you think the Boston Celtics on Friday night and the Florida Panthers on Saturday night lost so that they could win the championship at home? Now, granted, we're looking at two totally different scenarios here. Now, when it comes to the Boston Celtics, they were on the 0-3 side last year, if you remember, in the Eastern Conference Final when they took on the Miami Heat. So, you thought that they were going to be primed to win on Friday night. It's just that, and I'm not going to talk X's and O's. I'm not an X's and O's guy. I tell you about gut feel and stuff like that. I thought when I put my wager in on Friday that you would see Boston come out, not even give Dallas any breathing room. Try to blow them out, get it over with, get the title, go home, have your parade. Now, you can't, even though we're looking at this from Boston's and Florida's perspectives here in their two sports and their two championship series. I'm questioning whether that is the case. Because think about it. I think there's more than just wanting to win at home. Because the worst thing you can do, and you can ask the Boston Bruins about this, you can ask the San Jose Sharks about this, and there's a few other teams that in hockey that have been up 3-0 and ended up losing the series. Now, granted, it's never happened in the NBA. It almost did last year. Probably the closest we got to a team coming back from 3-0 to winning the series. But I just feel like, and you can tell me I'm wrong, you're up 3-0. Who cares where Game 4 is played, whether it's played in Boston, in Dallas, on the moon, in North Korea? Who cares where that game is? You want to get that fourth win. You want to celebrate on the court, no matter whose court it is, and you want to lift that trophy. Now, Boston is leading right now by 14 points. And we may be looking at a trophy presentation at the end of the game. But I'll tell you this. They can ask their fellow inhabitants of the TD Garden, Boston Bruins, about 2010. When they were up 3-0 to the Flyers, William Phillies was thinking, man, we're going to get swept by Boston. Then you win Game 4. Okay. Then you go back to Boston. Flyers steal Game 5. Now you're thinking, uh-oh. Game 6. Flyers win that here. So all of a sudden you think, and also Game 4 was an overtime game, so Boston was this close to sweeping the Flyers. And then the Flyers ended up giving up 3 goals in the first period. So Us as Flyers fans, we're thinking, crap. And then Flyers come back, win it 4-3 to win the series. Ironically, 4-3. So it does happen from time to time in hockey. It doesn't. It has not happened in basketball. It's happened once in baseball. But the question I have is now, hindsight's 2020 because probably with Dallas just saying, you know what, if we're going to lose, if we're going to lose this championship, we're not going to let them clinch it here, which is what I would want if I was a team down 0-3, a fan of a team that was down 0-3. Don't let them win in our house. And trust me, I have been at clinching games for the opposing team in Philadelphia in 2011 for the Phillies, 2010 for the Phillies, a couple years, 2021 when the Sixers were playing um, Atlanta in the Eastern Conference semifinals. You know, there is nothing that I would hate more if I was playing for a team, if I was coaching a team, managing a team, whatever, general manager, working for a team in some way, shape, or form. The one thing I would not want more than anything else is a team celebrating in our stadium or arena. Now, you begin, and of course, there's the conspiracy theories, and you know what? Nothing surprises me anymore. I mean, one person told me, "Oh, ESPN's losing all kinds of money because both the NBA and NHL finals this year is on ABC slash ESPN slash ESPN 8 The Ocho." Now, do I think ESPN said, "Hey, let's elongate the series a little bit"? No, I don't think that happens. But I will tell you for a fact that nothing would surprise me. Um, I just think it's a little crazy, but whatever. Now, basketball, I feel like you could just call off the dogs. And Boston did that on Friday night. You know, they were down 20, 25, ended up losing by 38. They said, screw this, we'll wait till Monday. And you know what? You get to a point where the lead is so huge and you're starting to run out of time in the third quarter, not let alone the fourth quarter, in the third quarter. It's a smart move to say, you know what? It's not our night. We're not getting the trophy tonight. We're not going to get to celebrate. Ship the champagne back to Boston if they do that. NBA ship the trophy to Boston. You know, you just say, you know what? Nothing we can do. And if you would have told me on Saturday, or if you would have told me between games 2 and game 3 when the Panthers had such a hard time getting out of South Florida because of all the storms that they had last week, I would have told you I would expect them to lose game 3, win game 4. Now, even though that's the case, I would have told you just for craps and giggles, play the Panthers in game 3, which I didn't get a chance to because it was a Saturday, but they won. Now, Edmonton, same situation here, 3-0. The Cup's in the building. Last thing you want is your opponent celebrating on your ice. And they came out. They scored 3 goals in the first. Next thing you know, it was 6-1 after two. Sergei Bobrovsky got pulled. And that's the only thing you can do in hockey is pull the goalie because you can't pull the players because you only have 20 guys and you rotate those guys in with different line shifts and everything. So it isn't like basketball where okay, Jalen Brown, Drew Holiday, uh, Tatum, you know, we'll put them on the bench. We'll wait for Monday. With hockey, you don't have the bench to play those guys, just to play certain guys. You have to rotate all 20 guys, well, 18 guys, not including the goalies. You have to rotate them and rotate them and rotate them just to get through the game. So you have to play them. And you're in a tough situation because if you're Edmonton, because once you're up 6-1, you're just trying to get through the final 20 minutes. But if you half-ass something, you could let them back in the game. Um, you can let them back in the game. You can get a guy injured. So many different things can happen. And the last thing you want to do is somebody getting a long-term injury where they miss at least the beginning of next season. Because I'll tell you what, the Flyers, they've already announced their preseason games for next season. So you are getting that's starting to come out now. And before you know it, the regular season NHL schedule will be out. But, hockey's a different thing. And you saw how chippy it was even when it was 8-1, people running each other and stuff like that. But I will say this. The worst thing that you can do, in my opinion, now I'm the type of person, hey, let's go for it. And sometimes it's just not your night. And we may be able to chalk it up to that. Both teams, the Boston Celtics and the Florida Panthers, knew that it was not their night. Now, do I think the ESPN/ABC/Disney said elongate this series? I don't think so. I think that you have to play smart with the Celtics. At least you could sit your star players on the bench in the fourth quarter so they don't get hurt. Because, you lose one, two, or all three of your star players, you're screwed. Now Dallas is the heavy favorite. But instead, you protect your guys, and the next thing you know, it's game 5 like it is right now, and it's now down to a 9-point game. Boston just called a timeout right before, a couple of minutes ago, but they're still in a commercial break on my TV. You can question that. Um, but the worst thing is just losing just for the sake of winning at home. I don't think that's the case here. But, the great thing is with this show is you can comment on Twitch, on YouTube. Got to figure out the X thing. But I really feel like this is something that I feel like this is definitely something that was not done on purpose. Now, you could say it was. You could say, hey, they just want to win at home. Well, next thing you know, you might have a game six. Now, at least with Boston Dallas, it's not that bad of a flight, even though it's 4 hours because Houston is in the far northeast corner of the NBA teams. If you had just a map of the NBA teams, Edmonton to Miami is the worst flight in hockey because they're so far away. They're 2,700 miles away. And and that's further than Seattle to Miami. But either way, and they have, and I know that they have private planes and all that, but being cooped up in a tin can like that is, and I'm not trying to insult anything like that, but think about it. They're in a tin can for 4, 5, 6, 7 hours. And in the case of Florida trying to get up there, they were stuck on the tarmac or in the terminal. I'm sure it was a private terminal since they are flying privately. Being stuck in a terminal sucks. And thankfully, I've only had one flight where I had to wait more than an hour. I was delayed more than an hour, and that was a trip to Vegas. I left. I was supposed to leave at 7:30. Didn't leave here until like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Got to Vegas at about 3 in the morning after working all day. So you can imagine how I was when I got to my room. I just went, but you really you really have to think. You know, would it surprise me that ESPN did that? It wouldn't surprise me, but I don't think it did happen. But you know, but if but you gotta ESPN and ABC. ESPN's got to protect their golden boy Stephen A. Smith because God forbid ESPN loses money on both hockey and the NBA because guess what? Both games were a sweep, so you don't get that extra revenue from all those ads. Then guess what? Stephen A. Smith might have to take that pay cut. God forbid. But nothing would surprise me. But I'm not going to say that's the case. I just think each situation is different. And in Boston's case, it was just the league got out of hand. They said, all right. Um, and sometimes it's just not your night. That's what I will say. But just to say it was the it was just so you can win home is asinine in my opinion. And the way that I am, I want to get it over with. I don't care where we play. We can play in the parking lot for all I care. We score more points than you for the fourth time. I want my trophy. And I'm sure Boston was like that. But that's okay. So so it appears that it may be as of Wednesday, possibly, that other than the WNBA, the MLS, the only major sport that runs every single day, or the big four sports right now, will be baseball running pretty much daily. And we have we're approaching the midway point in the season in terms of the number of games played. And Phillies are holding an 8-game lead in the division. Um, Coming into today's game after losing 2 or 3 in Baltimore. And you know what? It's okay to lose 2 or 3 in Baltimore. What you want to do is you want to try to win 2 or 3 every time. And by the way, Atlanta's up 2-1 now after 8 innings, so it looks like Atlanta will match the Phillies win tonight. You know, the one thing I would say to everybody is, if it's a 3-game series at home, win 2 of 3. If it's a 4-game series, win 3 out of 4. Phillies are 28-10 at home this year. So not only did they get on a hot streak there after going 8-8, and sometimes you need those bottom feeders, like you had in April with the White Sox and the Rockies. You need that to get yourself started, and that's what happened. Now, with the Phillies this week, you started to get some guys back. Brandon Marsh came back from his hamstring injury. I think it was a hamstring. And he set down Weston Wilson. So the fact that they didn't send down send down an outfielder to bring down an outfielder, that made the clock tick even more for Johan Rojas. And he got sent down today when Trey Turner was activated. And, it wasn't unexpected. Everybody was expecting it. Everybody was calling for it on Philly Twitter. And, the one thing that you have to remember with Johan Rojas is the fact that the boss that he went from Reading to Philly without even sniffing Allentown. Well, he might have sniffed Allentown, but not in that way where you get a cup of coffee with them before going to the pros. But when you look at the team here and you look at his trends, in the regular season, he was hitting the ball. Now, granted, he was hitting it with power, and I don't expect him to hit with power. Just do what you have to do, get on base, steal bases, all that stuff. There is no shame in being sent down to AAA. So what if you were in the playoffs last year? The thing is, you get to a point where you have to adjust to the other teams adjusting to you. Nobody expected him to hit the ball like he was, getting base hits, hitting 300 over the last month or two of the season last year. Nobody expected it. And it's gotten to the point where the pitchers are getting him out. He's not adjusting back. And that's what AAA will do for him. It will get him to adjust. And I'm sure whenever Rob Thompson, Dave Dombrowski, whoever it was, talked to him today or yesterday, and they said, hey, you're going down to AAA. This is what we want you to work on. And once you work on it and a position opens up, you're going to be back. You've shown you can hit. It's just that it's more than a funk right now. You got to learn to adjust, just like the pitchers have adjusted to you. But now the team is in place here for the most part. The only guy that's missing is JT Realmuto, who had meniscus surgery last week, and he's going to be out probably another 6 weeks. But if the Phillies played today against San Diego, there's not going to be much in the way of issues. And right now, you're giving both catchers an opportunity. Garrett Stubbs is good for a game or two here or there, and you're learning Rafael Marchand, even though he did have a cup of coffee with the Phillies a couple of years ago. And Marchand had 4 hits tonight. First 4-hit game of his career. Matter of fact, it was his first game of more than 2 hits in a game. And, you know, that's what championship caliber teams do. When somebody gets hurt, it's the next man up. And in this case, it's 2 guys, Stubbs and Marchand. And from what it looks like right now, it looks like that they are going to. It looks like they're going to swap nights. And, you know, and hopefully JT is in the locker room helping them out before games. You know, maybe he's doing rehab there. I don't know. I haven't looked. I haven't really. I was listening to the TV feed of the game while doing things, preparing for the show, getting my article up for tomorrow, and all that stuff. I mean, Edmundo Sosa came in and played huge while Trey Turner was out. David Dahl came in when um, Brandon Marsh went down. You know, it's next man up mentality. And this is why you get certain guys and you stash them at AAA. Some of them have options, some of them don't. And thankfully, they accept a minor league deal even when they don't have options. Because guess what? What David Dahl did for a couple of weeks there, or a week or two, that's what you want from a guy who's the 27th man or 28th man right now. Now he's in the top. Now he's in the 26, and maybe he stays here a little longer. Who knows? The only reason why it's Johan Rojas and not Christian Pache is because of the fact that Rojas has options. Pache and Rojas are basically the same thing right now. Good defense, good to great defense, no bad. But you got enough there to win right now. And we're starting to get that time of the year where you are going to see rumors of who the Phillies should trade for. And one name that has come up yet again this year is Tommy Pham. No way in hell do I want him even near the Phillies clubhouse. He's a cancer. He's a nut job. And I want no parts of him. Now, when it comes to, some of the other guys, I have to do more research. But, sometimes you got to you got to look not only at what can fill your needs, you also got to look at the chemistry of this team. And the chemistry in that locker room is incredible right now. But whatever you think, you will see some moves that are being made. And, hopefully, as I knock on wood, hopefully you heard that, there are no more injuries with the Phillies right now. Because even Schwarber's getting hot, because it is June after all. He had 2 more homers tonight. And he's hitting over 250 right now. I was watching Friday's game, I think it was. And I saw like 230 something. I'm like, are you kidding me? Because when I saw that, the last 2 years, I'm used to Kyle Schwarber barely hitting 200. And I said 2 years ago that if the if Kyle Schwarber were to get 250 2 years ago hitting, he is in the MVP conversation. Now, is he in the MVP conversation this year? Probably not. I will tell you that the MVP may be at third base this year, Alec Bohm, because it seems like every time he comes up with runners in scoring position, he produces. He had a big 3-run homer tonight. But Philly's got a lot of tough games coming up. It's almost like they had all the easy teams early on the year to help build their lead. But sometimes you have to catch teams at the right times. And you did not catch Baltimore at the right time. They won 2 or 3. And it happens from time to time. And even though you don't want to lose any series, but I would rather lose 2 or 3 to a top team instead of losing all 3. Even though you could argue the first 2 games were pretty close. The second game wasn't that close, but you get the idea. But if you can get 2 out of 3 every series, you're home free. And you're probably going to build on that lead, which is still 8 games as Atlanta won tonight. But don't be surprised if you see a losing streak every now and then with the Phillies, because guess what? It happens. It's baseball. It's 162 games. And whether they win 100, 105, 110, whatever they're looking at right now, whatever that total is, whatever that end result is, as long as you're 1 game better than the other division winners, you have home field. If you have one more game, one more win, the Atlanta Braves, then you're the division champions. It doesn't matter to me if you're going to win 100 games, 105, 110. You know, you can't let off the gas here. And we know there's going to be games that are going to look like total shit. And yesterday was the case when Zach Wheeler got knocked around, 4 home runs. Those games happen. And the best thing about it is he will come back on Friday, and I'm sure he'll be ready to go. Don't be surprised if he ends up throwing a masterpiece at home or Saturday, whatever day he pitches. It sucks that he had a bad game, but hey, got 4 days to prepare for that next start. And, you know, the offense bowed back, and we see that this team is going to be very tough at home this year. And that's been the case all year. They've been destroying everybody in the National League West at home. I think it's 13 wins in a row against the National League West at Citizens Bank Park. But one team they haven't faced yet is the LA Dodgers, and they had a big injury. Actually, they had 2 injuries. Yesterday, Mookie Betts fractured his hand on a pitch that was inside on him. Now, it was not, from what I've seen here, it was not a pitch that was intentional. And you can tell pretty much when there's intent. And at that time, I think it was a 3-0 game. There's no animosity between Kansas City and LA. So you don't have that. So you're not having to deal with the umpires saying, "Oh, you throw at this guy, you're gone." You don't have any of that. That's the game of baseball. Stuff like this happens from time to time. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. In Mookie Betts' case, he did not get lucky. He got hit on the top of the hand. You could hear it all throughout the stadium. You could tell it was broken, and he's going to be missing time. From what I saw in an update earlier today, from later today, the article I have is from earlier today. He does not need surgery. Now, I don't know if that means he would have been out longer, but it probably all depends upon. And this is for me breaking my wrist in college and breaking the bone where you don't need to have pins and all that other stuff. But he got drilled by a 97.9 mile an hour fastball, meaning Betts, from Dan Altavilla or Altavilla. I don't know how it's pronounced. And he fell to the ground, writhing in extreme pain. Um, Dave Roberts at the time didn't know how much time he would miss, but it would not require surgery. I think an injury like this would probably be 4 to 6 weeks. And they have some of the top healthcare. You can focus solely on the players. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he's back closer to 4 than 6, or maybe it's 8. Who knows? No two people heal the same. But I'll tell you what. Um, you are. I mean, he's going to be missed because he's a major star on that team and a team of stars with Shohei, Kershaw, um, you know, you name them. Freddie Freeman, so many guys. But um, you know, and Mookie Betts had the perfect attitude for this. I would say from what I'm reading here. Um, I think it's the first time I got hit in the hand, so I wasn't sure. Uh, when asked if he knew immediately the hand was broken, I just went numb and it hurt. Unfortunately, it broke. There's nothing we can really do now. And you don't. You know, it. Pitchers pitch inside. Hitters are up on the plate. It's going to happen from time to time, and it's unfortunate that it happened. And the Phillies had it 2 years ago with Bryce Harper. Just when he got back from getting his injection in his elbow so he can continue to play while he was putting off Tommy John surgery for his arm. He got hit in the wrist, and I believe he needed surgery for that too. But um, but yeah, it happens. It's unfortunate. Thankfully, in terms of playing the game, he's not injured. I mean, he's not injured long term. He doesn't need surgery. It's just a matter of letting the bone heal right now. And Dave Roberts said that Mookie was having an MVP type season. I mean, he's cooled off a little bit before the injury, but he was right up there. Um, and those watching the game on television and in the lower deck of Dodger Stadium could clearly hear the ball making contact with Betts' hand. And, it's an unfortunate thing. And Altavilla told MLB.com he was trying to go inside, but the fastball slipped arm side, and that there was absolutely no intent. And that's the thing. Sometimes you can tell there's intent. Sometimes you don't. You don't know about past history of some pitchers and batters and all that. Like, for example, I go back to Bryce Harper 2 years ago. Harper was raging because of the pain in his wrist when Blake Snell hit him. And I believe they're good friends. So, and I know Harper knew it wasn't done on purpose. Blake Snell's like, oh, shit. Because, he doesn't want to hit anybody like that. Pitch got away from him. And pitches do get away from pitchers, and they do hit batters who are hovering right over the plate. But, you know, you don't want to lose any player for a long period of time. But the Dodgers, they'll just fill right in with another guy, and they'll probably continue to win. Um, right now, looking at the scoreboard, they're doing that right now. They're up 3-1 in the fifth inning in Colorado. So Miguel Rojas will take over as shortstop. Kike Hernandez will also get some time there. Shohei Ohtani will move to the leadoff spot. Now, the Dodgers have an 8-game lead on the Padres. It's 8.5 right now after the Phillies won. But Yoshinobu Yamamoto was placed on the 15-day injured list because of a strained rotator cuff. Injured list. I think I said disabled list. Because God forbid you use the word disabled now. He has a strained rotator cuff in his right shoulder. Robert said, honestly, we've gone through this so much, and teams go through this all the time. That's a part of baseball. You just move forward with the guys, and guys know that they're getting opportunities to have to play well. Betts is on the IL for the first time in 2 years. He missed nearly 3 weeks with a cracked right rib. So, I don't, and I'm sure when October comes around, Citizens Bank Park will be chanting "Beat LA, beat LA, beat LA." But you could be seeing Phillies and Dodgers battling out, and you may not, because that's the way baseball is. But just to let you guys know, they're about to start the third period in Boston. 67-46 Boston. They had a run near the end of the second quarter there, and they hit a half quarter to end the second period. So they're 24 minutes away from Title 18. Um, and I think what's going to happen is you're going to see Dallas here try to get back in this game, but I think they're going to keep their guys out there as long as they can here. As long as the game doesn't get too out of hand here. But it is right now a game that is kind of out of hand with a 23-point lead or a 21-point lead. So, but, Boston's doing what they do best, and that's win at home. And they're doing it again tonight, and they're 24 minutes away. I did see this story today, and I do mention it here on the scroll about Les Miles suing LSU. Now, I think this is definitely for personal satisfaction more than anything else. And, there may be some things that are true here, and, some people may not think it's true. But Les Miles is suing LSU because the vacated wins that occurred, the wins that were vacated from his record at LSU, ended up putting him under the 60% threshold to get automatic admittance into the College Football Hall of Fame. Now, this is in response to the school vacating wins in response to an NCAA infractions case, a move that dropped Miles below that threshold. He coached LSU from 2005 to 2016, He was also named the NCAA and that uh, he also named the NCAA National Football Foundation, which manages the College Football Hall of Fame's defendants. The lawsuit states he was deprived of property rights to the vacated wins in his nomination for the Hall of Fame, which must be done by those affiliated with an NCAA member school. Now, in 2023, LSU vacated 37 wins because of recruiting violations stemming from impermissible benefits paid to the father of former player Vidal Alexander by a former booster. Now, with NIL, this probably does not see the light of day. All you need is receipts, no problem. But because it was well before NIL, but um, the wins coincide with Alexander's playing career from 2012 to 2015 under Miles, who went 37-12 in that stretch. The vacated football wins were announced alongside other penalties for LSU football and men's basketball programs by the NCAA's Independent Accountability Resolution Process. The 37 vacated wins dropped Miles' overall record from 145-73, a winning percentage of 66.5%, to 108-73, a winning percentage of 597. Coaches must have a career winning percentage of 600 or 60% in at least 100 games to qualify for selection to the College Football Hall of Fame. Miles, who was 70, helped LSU to the national championship in 2007 and won 2 SEC titles at the school. He also led programs at Oklahoma State and Kansas. Now, here's what the lawsuit states. The decision not to provide Miles with any form of due process was made in agreement with the NCAA and in furtherance of the LSU defendants' negotiations with the NCAA concerning additional and more severe penalties that otherwise likely would have been imposed on LSU and its athletics program. The IARP placed LSU on 3 years probation. LSU had previously imposed the quote ends with the more severe penalties that otherwise likely would have been imposed on LSU and its athletics program. That was the end of the quote. Now, the IARP placed LSU on 3 years probation. LSU had previously imposed a postseason ban in football for the 2020-2021 season. Now, other than the adjusted win percentage, Miles is eligible for Hall of Fame selection as he served as a head coach for more than 10 years, coached more than 100 games, and has not coached for more than 3 years. So he's been out of football 3 years. Miles and Kansas parted ways in March of 2021 amid allegations that Miles had behaved inappropriately toward female students during his tenure at LSU. So I think what's going to happen here, you can have another situation where, you're going to sue us? Well, you're not getting into the Hall of Fame, buddy. I think that's what's going to happen here. And, the one thing that we don't know here, and now George Bass, which is Miles' longtime agent, said in a news release announcing the lawsuit that LSU promised us its help in undoing this injustice, but went back on its word, forcing to take this unfortunate action of suing to regain Les's rights. Now, if he did not get to due process, then, maybe this is something that, he gets his 60% and he gets into the Hall of Fame. It just seems to me that this is just a ploy to get into the Hall of Fame. Because apparently it's really important to Les Miles. Now, I don't know about you. If he did not get due process like he's supposed to, then yeah, I would be in favor. But I'm trying. I don't know everything about this case. I know what this article says. I just think that there is a couple of things, probably quite a few things we don't know. Now, also the inappropriate behavior towards female students during his tenure at LSU. 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 30 years ago, that probably is looked the other way. But now, eh. But then again, you're talking about a guy, you're talking about something that probably happened in 2015, 2014, 2013, whatever it was. I didn't research it, so. But do you really think that he is doing this just to get into the Hall of Fame? Or is he legitimately doing this so that he can get, you know, because of due process? Now, it would not surprise me if the NCAA did not give him due process, because nothing would surprise me with the NCAA. But it just seems like there's something. You know, it just seems like you know, like nothing happened here. Like he never got an opportunity to talk. But I think they're trying to just get those win back so he can go into the Hall of Fame. But um, the lawsuit states that the bulk of LSU's infractions, including the most serious violations, occurred in basketball. Now, if you remember Will Wade from this year, he was with McNeese State, McNeese, whatever they're calling themselves this week. I think they dropped the word state when it comes to sports, but who cares at this point? But you get the idea. The former coach was directly implicated in violations. The basketball penalties did not include vacated wins or adjusted coaching records, but Wade had something that Les Miles did not have. He received a 2-year show cause order and a 10-game suspension for 3 level 1 violations. And level 1's the most serious. So it seems like if these allegations are true, it's possible. It's possible you could be seeing a these wins reinstated, but I don't think you reinstate these wins because you know, I mean, does a judge really just say, "Oh, just give him his wins back"? I think there's more to this, and is he just saying this just so he can get into the Hall of Fame? Maybe he just has too much time on his hands over the last 3 years. Maybe he's not eating enough grass because he would go with a blade of grass every stadium that he went to. But um, and also the lawsuit also notes that 2 of the 3 violations from the NCAA that the NCAA found with LSU football occurred after Miles' tenure as team coach. The 11-2 violation, including Alexander, was discovered 2 years after LSU's tenure ended. But he was in charge of LSU, so he is culpable here. You're the head of the football program. If the football program has something going on, you're to blame. Plain and simple. But I I just think there's more. There's going to be more that comes out of this, and we probably won't cover that. But I just think that you're going to have a. Um, I mean, I just think he's doing this just for the sake of getting a uh, getting some glory that I'm not sure he really deserves. You know? I mean, but you know, but did he get due process? Only time will tell. So, so before we close out tonight, I do want to let you know that tomorrow's article will be up at 11 a.m. Eastern, and it'll be race 6 from Parks. Um, I went off the board today for today's race the race that because what I usually do for the most part, and you know, this is something um, that you know I'm not afraid to bring you behind the curtain. Usually, the races are just going to be whatever the daily racing form offers. In my case, I'm sitting there. It's 12 o'clock, 12:15, 12:30, nothing. So about 12:45, I refreshed, still nothing. So I ended up saying, you know what? Let me look at the stake schedule, and there was a stakes race for today, and that was at Presque Isle Downs, the Tonbridge Stakes, the Hullwood Stakes. But seriously, um, very rarely are you going to see races from the Churchill Downs, the CDI tracks, the Churchill Downs Incorporated tracks, featured on the daily racing form. And that is because Churchill Downs is associated with Brisnet, which is a rival horse racing program. So they use Brisnet, and other than the Kentucky Oaks and the Kentucky Derby, you're not going to see races from any of those CDI tracks on there. Now, you might every once in a while with the Arlington Million coming up in August, which is at Colonial Downs, which is a property that CDI bought a couple years ago. But for the most part, you're going to get, like today, the 7th race of the Assiniboia Downs, which goes off at 11 o'clock at night. But I didn't know what that race was going to be. I could tell it was going to be Assiniboia because the race was not up yet. So I was like, you know what? Let me look at this race. 12 horses. Ended up scratching down to 10. One horse ran yesterday and another just scratched for whatever reason. So we had 10 horses there, and Ponce de Leon apparently likes synthetic tracks, and I believe that's a male. He won going away. A little disappointed he got bet down to 5-2 odds, but um, I was expecting maybe 5, but there was late money that came in on that horse. So, and of course, it was wise money because he won rather easily. So, Tuesday will be a race from Parks, my home track. Wednesday, right now, is probably going to be Horseshoe Windy. But with all the heat that's coming this way this week, who knows? And the one thing that I will tell you guys, and I may have to post it earlier, I might have to have it drop at 10 or 9 a.m. as opposed to 11 during the week. but it is going to be a hot one here this week. And you may see some tracks starting earlier. Horseshoe Indy did that the last couple of years when it was a very hot stretch there outside Indianapolis. Um, Presque Isle Downs. Now, it wasn't really that hot today. It was like in the low 80s. They moved all their races this week to 1 o'clock starts as opposed to 3 o'clock. I'm imagining that it may have something to do with the synthetic because it's not real dirt. So maybe that burns the hooves or something. I don't know. I'm just speculating here, um, but it was only in the 80s in Erie, but they decided to move the races up 2 hours. Finger Lakes, which is up in way up state New York, um, they have um, they moved their races up 2 hours as well. They're starting at 11:15 a.m. so that they can get out by 3 o'clock. But you're starting to get into that period where it's the hottest portion of the day. So just to let you guys know, there are going to be cancellations. And now that I'm going to be posting my own stuff, you are going to start having last minute changes where I may have to put something up at like 1:30 in the afternoon, while I'm on my first break and say, all right, well, this race is now the race we're going for. It's race 6 at Penn National, or, we're going with race 5 at Canterbury, which is on the turf, something like that, where, we may have to veer in another direction and go from there. But the good thing is, one thing you will see on the daily racing form, especially if you have an account with the daily racing form, even if you just get it just so you can get the races of the day. The one thing is you can go on there and every once in a while you'll have free race cards on there. Today they have free races from um, Finger Lakes and somewhere else. I forget where. But you can access those free programs through the race of the day. So you might have to refresh your screen once or twice when you get there in the morning. It won't be up there until like maybe 11 or 12, but you click on it, you click on the thing, you download it, you're ready to go. So just some little things here and there that I can help you out with here. Um, so if you think about it, you know, there are ways around to get free programs every now and then. But you know, uh, so keep an eye out to BleacherBrothers.com for all your sports needs. If you have a gambling problem, 1-800-GAMBLER. I'm always going to tell you bet within your means. I go beyond just saying 1-800-GAMBLER. I tell you bet within your means. Make sure your bills are paid up and blah blah blah. You know the rest. But I will also tell you that you know if you are someone who does not have a gambling problem, check out our ads, because if you want to open a new account and you're in a state that has online gaming, online gambling, online fantasy, whatever, there are different um, promotions that are on the site, and there's going to be promotions on my articles as well. So I will say this: feel free to look at those articles. Feel free to check those ads out, because I'll tell you what, if you do, if you are a person that likes to gamble, you can control your gambling. You know, feel free to sign up. I know FanDuel, you can go from the casino to the sports book to the race book on there. some have sports books, some don't. Blah blah blah. But you get the idea. So, but you know, always bet within your means. And got a fun article for tomorrow. Going back to parks for Tuesday fun, and it looks like Horseshoe Windy on Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday will be Belmont at the Big A. All, of course, heat permitting because it's just going to get hotter and hotter on the eastern half of the country because anything that heats up in the west eventually it's got to come east. You got a bad storm in the west, for the most part, it's got to come east. And that's just the way that things flow in the northern hemisphere. So we're going to be in it for about a week. We're going to be under that heat dome, and hopefully we get back to normal weather here as well. So now before I go, we're here Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, 9 o'clock. Once we get that Wednesday, we're going to be a full 2 hours. The good thing is with me is with this show, I can do an hour and 15, an hour 45, 205, whatever. I don't have hard outs. I don't have commercial breaks right now. Don't have any of that. Now, if I wanted to say, hey, I got to take a leak, I just do this. And you'll see that. But since I'm here on Monday night, and let me get rid of that. So around the middle of July, if Wednesdays don't get out by July 15th, it's going to be August 1st. It's just a matter of time. So, but you can follow me on X, on Twitch, on YouTube, all at Joe Quills. We're going to be going through some changes in a couple of weeks again. I did talk to AJ on Saturday about some things, and we're moving forward here, and we're in it for the long haul. And some people say different things about different people and things and all that stuff. I just don't want to deal with the bullshit. And and like I said a couple of months ago, if you want to say there's a rivalry between us and somebody else, don't drag me into it because I don't want to deal with it. I just want to do my hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, and be done with it. But I want to entertain. I want to talk. And if you guys want to chat, feel free to do so because that's the great thing about these online shows is you can interact with me right here on Twitch, on YouTube, and occasionally on once I figure X out. So that's going to be it for now. And I do appreciate everybody taking the time to watch. And we'll be back tomorrow night. Looks like Boston is going to win the title tonight. They're up 19 with 2 minutes left in the third. I'm a little bit behind you guys who are probably watching at home. So that's fine. So it's just a matter of running that clock out. So do want to thank everybody for joining me tonight. And looking to see here. There's nobody worth rating tonight, so I'm going to call it a night here. And that's the one good thing about being on this particular platform. What my platform is, if I have somebody that I see, especially if they're sports related, even if they're not Bleacher Brothers related, hey, I'm going to send you to this person. But unfortunately, no one's on tonight, so and I don't feel like really looking for anybody. So do appreciate everybody, and I will see you tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. Probably talking some hockey with everything else that's going on in the sports world. And I'll catch you tomorrow. Good night, everybody.